Most people think the smartest income systems are exciting. Flashy dashboards, constant alerts, big wins you can screenshot and post. The truth is, the smartest income systems are boring, painfully boring, and that's exactly why they work. Let me explain. When most people imagine making money, they picture motion, hustle, noise, late nights, something that feels intense enough to deserve the reward. If it feels calm, slow, or repetitive, they assume it must be weak, or outdated, or not worth their time. But money doesn't care how exciting your process feels. It only responds to consistency, leverage, and time. Think about the wealthiest people you've never heard of. Not celebrities, not influencers, the quiet ones. The people who own parking garages, small logistics companies, boring software tools, storage units, insurance agencies, laundromats, rental properties, or licensing deals. Their income doesn't spike dramatically. It shows up every month, on schedule, like rent, like gravity, and that's not an accident. Boring systems remove emotion. Emotion is expensive. When your income depends on how motivated you feel today, how confident you feel this week, or how inspired you are this month, you've built a fragile system. Fragile systems break under stress, and stress is guaranteed. The smartest income systems are designed so you don't have to feel motivated. You just have to not sabotage them. Look at a simple example. Dividend investing. It's not exciting. You don't wake up to fireworks. No adrenaline rush. Just small payments over and over, slowly increasing if you stay patient. Most people ignore it because it doesn't feel like progress. Until 10 years pass and suddenly it's paying bills. The same applies to boring online businesses. Evergreen content, simple subscription tools, unsexy B2B services, systems that do one thing well and repeat it thousands of times. People chase excitement because excitement feels like movement. But movement isn't progress. Direction is. A boring income system usually has 3 qualities. First, it's predictable. You can roughly guess what next month will look like. That predictability allows you to plan, invest, and breathe. Chaos feels productive, but it keeps you stuck in reaction mode. Second, it's repeatable. The process doesn't change every week. You're not reinventing the wheel every time something breaks. You're refining something that already works. Third, it's boring enough that most people quit. That's the moat. When something isn't fun, competition drops. The fewer people who can tolerate boredom, the more valuable consistency becomes. Here's the uncomfortable part. Most people don't fail because they lack intelligence or opportunity. They fail because they get bored too early. They abandon systems right before the compounding phase begins. Right before momentum turns quiet effort into visible results. And boredom feels like nothing is happening. That's what makes it dangerous. When you're bored, your brain starts whispering lies. This isn't working. You should try something new. Other people are making money faster. This feels too slow. But slow doesn't mean broken. Slow often means stable. If you zoom out, every strong income stream looks boring up close. The excitement is only visible in hindsight. Another mistake people make is tying their identity to activity. If they're not busy, they feel useless. So they choose income models that keep them constantly engaged. Posting every day, responding every hour, chasing trends because it feels validating. But the smartest systems aim for less dependence on you, not more. The goal isn't to be needed constantly. The goal is to be needed once, at the design stage. After that, the system should work even when you're tired, even when you're distracted, even when life happens. That's why boring systems scale. They don't collapse when your energy drops. And here's something most gurus won't say out loud. If your income system requires you to be on all the time, it's not a system. It's a job wearing a nicer outfit. Real systems keep paying even when no one is clapping. Now, this doesn't mean boring equals easy. Boring often requires discipline, repetition, delayed gratification, the willingness to do the same thing when there's no applause. That's hard for people raised on instant feedback and fast dopamine. But once you accept boredom as a feature, not a flaw, you start building differently. You stop asking, "Is this exciting?" and start asking, Will this still work 5 years from now? And that question changes everything. Because the smartest income systems aren't built to impress strangers. They're built to support real lives. So how do you tell the difference between a boring system that quietly builds wealth and a boring system that just keeps you busy? This is where most people get stuck. They hear boring is good and assume any repetitive effort will eventually pay off. That's not true. Some things are boring because they compound. Others are boring because they go nowhere. The difference comes down to leverage. A smart, boring income system has leverage built into it. That leverage might be capital, technology, distribution, brand trust, or time. Something that allows one unit of effort today to keep producing results tomorrow. For example, working overtime at a job is repetitive and boring, but it doesn't scale. The moment you stop showing up, the income stops. There's no leverage. You're trading time for money, one-to-one. Compare that to something like a simple digital product, a niche service with long-term clients, a rental asset, or a content library that keeps getting searched years later. The work happens up front. The boredom is in maintaining it, not restarting it every day. Another sign of a smart system is that it improves with age. Good systems get stronger the longer they exist. Trust builds, costs drop, processes smooth out. You make fewer decisions, not more. Bad systems demand the same energy forever with no payoff for loyalty. Ask yourself this: if I keep doing this exact thing for the next 3 years, will it get easier or harder? If the answer is harder, you're probably on the wrong path. Now let's talk about why people abandon good systems even when they're working. It's comparison. You might be steadily building something boring and solid. Then you open your phone and see someone claiming they made 6 figures in 30 days. Suddenly your progress feels small, slow, embarrassing, but you're comparing your real life to someone else's highlight reel, or worse, their marketing. Smart income builders don't compare timelines. They compare trajectories. A boring system with a gentle upward curve will outperform a flashy system that spikes and crashes. Every time. The problem is, boredom doesn't give you emotional proof. There's no rush to reassure you that you're on the right track. You have to believe in the math before the feelings catch up. That's maturity. Another key detail: boring systems are usually simple. Not easy, but simple. One clear offer. One primary channel. One audience. One problem being solved repeatedly. People overcomplicate because complexity feels valuable. Simplicity feels suspicious. But complexity creates friction, and friction kills consistency. The most reliable income systems often look almost too plain. That's why people underestimate them. And here's something that rarely gets discussed. Boring systems protect your mental health. When your income isn't tied to constant performance, constant visibility, or constant urgency, your nervous system relaxes. You think more clearly. You make better decisions. You stop panicking every time the algorithm changes or the market shifts. Stability gives you optionality. And optionality is power. When you're not desperate for your next dollar, you negotiate better. You say no more often. You choose long-term moves instead of short-term fixes. That's what boring really buys you: space. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, this sounds great, but I don't know where to start, that's normal. No one starts with a perfect system. Every boring income stream begins messy, uncertain, and slightly uncomfortable. The goal isn't to find the perfect idea. The goal is to pick something sensible and stay with it long enough for boredom to kick in. Because boredom is the signal that you're past the honeymoon phase. It means the real work, the compounding work, has begun. Most people quit right there. If you can stay when it's quiet, when no one is watching, when results feel unimpressive, you automatically separate yourself from the crowd. And that's the paradox. The smartest income systems don't make you feel smart while you're building them. They make you feel patient, sometimes even dull. But one day, usually much later than you expected, you look up and realize your life feels lighter. Bills are easier. Choices are wider. Time feels less hostile. And you didn't get there by chasing excitement. You got there by respecting boredom. If this perspective made you think differently about money, work, or what success actually looks like, let me know by hitting the like button. It really helps this channel reach people who need to hear this. And if you want more grounded, honest conversations about building income without burning yourself out, subscribe and stay with us. We're playing the long game here. Thanks for watching.